Hello guys, welcome back to the series. If you have been following along, you know we are building our restaurant app step by step with Jetpack Compose MVVM architecture and Firebase, and as well Kotlin. So in the last episode, we connected our application to Firebase and we set up our authentication screen here from our splash screen to our authentication screen. We also set up our navigation and we created the flow for our login and our guest browsing. And today, we're moving one big step closer to making our app feel as real as it can get. So here in this episode 3, we're focusing on designing our bottom navigation, as you can see from here, and our top app bar, then this beautifully looking custom drawer that we're going to make. So in the navigation, we want users to switch between the home screen, that's the product overview screen, to the card, and also to notification and as well as categories. Then also in our top app bar, we want them to have this menu icon which leads to this custom drawer that we have done here, and also the title of whichever screen they are looking at, and as well the action, the search icon here where they can search for other things that are not immediately visible to them. Then in our custom drawer, you see this pretty cool custom drawer. Instead of sliding over the home screen or product overview screen, I must say, it displaces this our product overview screen to the right by some percentage. So we're going to do that with some animation effect. So if you're excited and you're ready for this episode 3, let's get started. So this is exactly what we're aiming to achieve, so that we can navigate and swap our screens like this. As you can see, these animated swaps, and again with this our custom drawer. So let's get started with our code. So initially we have created our, let's give our app a quick run and see where we stopped at. So as you can see, we just have one single swap, which is from our authentication screen, from our splash screen to the authentication, then to our home screen. So now we don't have the option of signing out, which we're also going to do in this episode. But before we start with that, I decided to clean up our app a little bit. So let me close all the tabs, close this up and close that up. So let's go to a full screen. So looking at our authentication screen, which is our auth screen here, we use launch effect here to read the state changes in our auth view model, and here we created some request states that we used in performing this function in our auth view model. But now I created a central, I have this central state, request states, that we're going to use to monitor the responses and the feedback from our Firebase and other online servers that this app is going to be querying. So because of that, I decided to remodel this auth view model and channel everything back to this single request state that I'm going to copy and paste here. So you can find it in the repository to copy it and maybe not waste a lot of time trying to type it if you're following along. So for us to do that, in this our feature, I'm going to create another package here that is called util. So in this util package, we're going to create that class. So we're going to create that sealed class that is going to be our request state. So we call that request state. So I'm going to copy that and paste that in here. So I'm going to paste the sealed class that I've copied. So everything we need is exactly in this sealed class to read the responses that are going to be coming from our servers. So now that we've done that, our next stop will be in the auth view model, where we're going to do some refinement before we can now continue to building our navigation and our top app bar and our drawer. So now in the auth view model, I'm going to remove all this, okay, and all this. So now this is what our view model is going to be like. We're going to create just a single function that is going to be create user, and in this function is going to have some parameters like user, and which is going to be a Firebase user, then on success, and that's going to be a unit, an empty unit. So then on error, an error which is going to have the parameter string, and it's going to be a unit as usual. So in the body of this, we're going to call our view model scope dot launch. So, and this is going to have the dispatcher IO. Then inside this, we're going to call our customer repository dot create customer. You remember when we created this function in our repository? So we're going to call that here. Then on success, because this is also going to have, I don't think I've made those changes in the repository as well, because we need to change that. So but let's finish up with this. So this is what our auth view model is going to be like. So these errors are because I need to also make those changes in our repository, because here in our repository is returning the result, which is the one that I've just taken out, I've just deleted right now. So with that, we can actually reform this and return those parameters and pass those parameters. Let's copy this to save time. So we'll copy all this and paste it in our repository. So, and there will be no return, it's not going to return anything. So I'll make this a new line and this a new line, then paste what I've just copied. So right here our user is now 2, so I'll cut this first one out. So now this is what our customer repository is going to look like. As you know, this will also affect our implementation class, and right here we will need to update that as well. Okay, you will see how this comes together in a moment. Okay, I know some of you might be wondering, why is it doing this? It's already working, but we need a cleaner code. Okay, so right here I'm going to take out all this. So make this a new line, bring it down, take this out, and paste what I've just copied. So every other thing stays the same. So now our repository class is updated, and our customer repo implementation is also updated. So let's close that up and close this up as well. So now that this has been done, let's close this up. Now this is where we finish up with this update. So we go back to our auth screen, and in our auth screen we're going to start from the beginning. Here, this is still fine and this is still fine. So but instead of the auth UI event, we'll take this out, cut this out, and let's call this loading state instead. And in this loading state now is going to be set as false initially. So by remember, and in this loading state, remember mutable state of, and we pass false initially for our loading state. Then that means we're taking off this launched effect completely. So that's gone. And now in our on click, in our Google button here, we're going to pass our loading state, which we've just created above, which is false in the beginning. Then once it's clicked, then we set the loading state to true. We set that to true so that loading shows that loading has started. Oh, not here. So cut that out. So inside the scope, we set our loading state to true. So we need to change our loading state to a variable, since we are swapping it. So now we will need to import the setters and the set value. So that's fine now. So then down here, our auth view model will now call create customer. Is that user? Oh, okay, I call that create user. So but I think that should be create customer to avoid ambiguity. So let's change this to create customer. Okay, that's fine now. So this is going to be create customer. Yeah, this should go. So inside our try catch block, we'll change our auth result from the Google client sign-in activity. This is still fine. Then we pass this as this. So once the user has the sign-in authentication is successful and we check there is a user and it's not null. So now in our auth view client, we're now going to create our customer in our database. So in this create customer, we'll still pass our user and our user to the user above. User here. Then on success, there is a lambda. So on success, we call request state dot success. So, and in that, we're going to pass our user as the data. So then on error, we're going to use a lambda and call request state.error. Okay, so then inside the error, we'll pass a simple message, which is unable to create new user. So that's done. Then after that, we can now cause a little delay, which is going to be 22 seconds delay. Then we navigate to home like this. So on successful, we've created our user, then we can now navigate to home. So here, our auth view model is we're going to call our request state here, as we're not doing that in the view model anymore. The same with this as well. So request state dot error. Okay. So these are just the little changes that we have done here. And with that, we also don't forget our guest sign-in to also do the same for our guest sign-in. So inside here, this guy is going to go because our state monitor is done differently now. Then here, we're going to call our auth view model dot create our guest user and also pass. So let me just, so that we don't waste a lot of time here, let me copy this because it's still the same implementation, and we'll paste that here. Then here we'll copy this guy and we'll replace this with this. So, and also we'll replace that. Then also let's not forget our navigation right here. Copy that and also paste that, add that here. So this is the new update. You see, it looks a lot cleaner than trying to read the state and set that up on our individual auth view models, which we are going to create alongside on this project, so that we can request our state and monitor the state changes from one single utility class. Okay, so the moment of truth, I think our navigation is all right. So let's run our application again and see if everything still works as it should. We have an error. So we took out this auth from our auth view model. It's no longer necessary. So I think that every other thing should be fine now. Our app launched successfully, and let's see. Okay, so moment of truth, we still navigated to our home screen right here. So that's totally fine. So everything works fine. We can stop this and we can close this up. So one small thing I added to this project is I was having issues with loading the pictures. As you can notice from our home screen, there's a picture showing there. So that's we added the Keto network client to read our images from the Firebase URL. So in our customer data class, we added, okay, I've not added that. So we need another variable here, which we're going to call. So we're going to do that later. Don't worry about that now. So I added this library, this dependency here, because the Keto network that we added couldn't download the pictures, the profile pictures that our users have. So I added that. So we were initially using this Where is our coil? Okay, here is our coil. This network Keter 3, but it doesn't really pull the images up. So I added this dependency here. So you need to add that to your project as well if you're following along. Okay, so that is by the way. So now our next stop is going to be to create our home screen and also implement the navigations that are going to be required there. So continuing with our navigation, let me close all these tabs down and make this okay. Before I do that, we continue with our navigation. If you have a look back in our design here, you will discover that we have these 4 destinations in our home screen. So these 4 destinations are screens that are going to be displayed in our home graph, if we use that word. So for us to create this, we have to create another destinations in our home screen, because these are screens that are part of our home screen, if that makes sense. So the splash screen is an individual screen which is part of the top navigation, which we are using type safe navigation. Then our auth screen is still a different top level navigation screen, but in our home navigation, in our home screen, we're going to have some overlaps of screens which we're going to access using this bottom navigation. So for us to do that, we go to our home screen, right? So in our home package here, let's add some packages. So in this package, we're going to have some components that we're going to use, like our bottom bar component, our top app bar component, and the drawer component, which we're going to reuse over time in this project. So first of all, we're going to create the component package and also create another package which we're going to call the domain package. Okay, so in this domain package, we're going to create what we'll call our bottom bar destinations. That's the destinations of our bottom bar, which we have 4 of them, as I've just shown you. So let me make this full screen. So bottom bar destinations, right? So in this bottom bar destinations, this is going to be an enum class, just as we did with our navigation initially in our screens. So this is a sealed class, but this is going to be an enum class, because in this navigation we're going to be using routes instead of type safe navigation because of some reasons which I'm going to explain later as we go along. So now we have a variable that we're going to call icon, because our bottom navigation, each of them has an icon. So, and that's going to be an int, and sorry, my bad, this is going to be a variable here, and another variable we need here is the title of the destination we are in, which is also going to be a string. And as well, we need the screen where we're going to be sending each of these people, where this bottom navigation is going to be leading us. So here we call screens, which is our top level navigation. Then inside here, we're going to have, first of all, our product overview screen, which is the first screen that they will see, that will show the highlight some of our product. Then secondly, we'll have our carts, our notification screen, then categories where they can choose from different varieties of what we're selling. So now here, first of all, we're going to create the product overview screen. That's a long name. And in this product overview screen, we're going to pass all the parameters like the icon, and the icon here we'll call resources from our resource folder .icon.home. Okay, then we have a title. So the title for this is going to be our app title, which is burgers, right? Burgers. Okay, then and the screen is going to be our screens dot product overview, which we have not. Product overview screen, which let's import screen again. no screens, sorry. So we've imported that before, but we've not created this. So let's go to our screen and create some of these screens before we can proceed. Okay, so inside our screens, we'll have the home graph here. Let's copy that and duplicate that for another 3 more times, right? So this is the first one. Then here is going to be product overview screen. Okay, so then this one is going to be our cart, I believe, and this is going to be notifications. Okay, then lastly we have our categories. So these are the screens that we will need in our home graph. Okay, let's add some space to make it look nice and clean. All right. Oh, I think I added the space the wrong place. All right. So back here we need to import that overview. All right, so that's fine now. Then moving along, we will go back and find and create more of these other screens. Let me copy this and duplicate that so that we can move faster. Okay, so and this is going to be screens.category. Right, so these are all the screens that we're going to be showing in our bottom navigation. So that's out of the way now, and the next thing we need to create is our bottom bar. So in our bottom bar here, we are going to add that to our component because it's one of our components, and this is going to be a composable file that we'll call bottom bar, or let's just make it unique, burgers bottom bar. That's fine. So this is going to be composable, and this is going to be fun burgers bottom bar. Okay, and in this burgers bottom bar, we're going to call our modifier and we'll assign that to modifier. Then secondly, we need to have this called selected to determine which of the bottom bars that have been selected. So bottom bar destination. Then finally on select, so we pass bottom bar destinations to a unit. So these are the parameters we need for this. Then in the body, we're going to use a row. As you can see from the picture here, from the prototype, we use a row to display all the bottom bar destinations that we have here. Okay, we use a row parameter, and the row is going to have some parameters. So our modifier, go to the modifier we've created above, dot fill maximum width, because it's going to cover the whole width of the parent. Then we want to clip this, we want to clip this to rounded corner shape, and we pass that to 12.dp to give it a nice corner. Let's have a look and see from our design if that's actually what we have there. Let me zoom this in. Okay, so right here we have, here we have our corner radius to be 6, but I'm going to make it 12. I think 12 looks a little bit better. So there's 12. So the next thing is to set the background. So our background is going to be our surface lights for the colors that we've set before. Surface light, we'll check that. If that doesn't stand out, then we can make that surface dark. So now we have padding, and our padding we want to set, let's have a look and see what our design have, the kind of padding. So our vertical padding here is actually 18, and our horizontal padding is 24. So our vertical is 18, but that looks like, okay, let's make it 18 then. So vertical padding is equal to 18.dp, and our horizontal padding is 24.dp. Okay, so now we set it to our content alignment, our vertical alignment. We set that to alignment.center vertically. Then our horizontal arrangement should be space between. Arrangement should be space between, so that we have even spaces around them. Then with that done, so now we're going to loop through all our entries, which is the destinations that we have created here. So now to do that, we'll call our bottom bar destinations dot entries dot for each. So let's give it a name, destinations. Then inside here, we create a variable that we're going to call animated things by animate color states. That's the one, animate color state. So in this animate color state, our target value, we're going to set that to if selected is equal to the destinations that have been chosen. Then we should use icon secondary. Then our icon should be icon secondary, right? Else icon primary. So icon primary. So let's have a quick look at our design and see. So this one is highlighted and the color is, so you see icon secondary, so the icon primary is black. All right, so we're on track. So here we need to import the set and get value. So that's done. So now we're going to pass this variable into our icon button. So inside our icon button on click, we want to call the selected. So we'll call on select when the button is clicked, and we pass the destination that has been selected by the user. Okay, so inside this icon button, we can now call icon painter using painter resource. Then we pass our destinations dot the icon that we have set initially in our destinations. Then in our content description, this is going to be bottom bar destination icon for our screen readers. Okay, that's why this is important. So then we set our tint to the animated tint variable that we've set up here, so that we can dynamically color our icon once it's selected. So now we have created our bottom bar destination, we have created our bottom bar. So now it's time to create the nav graph in our home screen. So in our home screen, we're going to set up our home screen. Let's open that screen. Where are you? Home here. So inside our home screen, we just selected this dummy text that we put here initially, which we're not going to be needing because we're going to set up our dynamic navigation. So let's throw all that away and start from the beginning. For our screen to work here, we're going to use a scaffold. So let's call scaffold, and in our scaffold we set our padding values. In the body of our scaffold, we're going to use a column. I could have saved that column that I just deleted, but that's fine. Create another one. So here inside our column, we're going to add our modifier, and our modifier dot padding. Then we pass our padding values that we've just created. So here we want it to fill the maximum size of the parent as well, the column to take over the remaining space in the scaffold. So after that, now we need to set our nav host for this our bottom navigation inside our home screen. So in our scaffold, the nav host, we want the nav to take up any remaining space to display the screens that are available. They will set that weight, set it to 1F. So that means, what it means is that once any destination is selected from the bottom bar, it should cover the content in the body of the home screen. Okay, so now we're going to also have our nav controller, and we'll set that to, we need to create our nav controller variable as usual up here, make it global. So nav controller, var nav controller is equal to remember nav controller. So that's it. So now here we pass that nav controller here. Then finally, we're going to have our start destination, how we want to start the navigation, where the fallback destination, I must say, destination. And we're going to pass that to screens dot. So product overview page, which is this screen here, which is this entire screen here, is our start destination for our home graph. Okay, so product, have I imported screens? Product overview screen. So that's our nav host setup. So now we're going to add all the 4 screens that is going to be our bottom navigation. So we'll call our composable, and composable we pass the screens dot product overview screen as the type. Then we'll leave this empty for now. Okay, let's continue. Let me copy this and duplicate it so that we can move fast. So here we're going to have, we have our cards, and here we have notifications, and lastly here we have our category. Okay, so this error have refused to let us be. So after setting up our nav host, let's add some spacer before we add our bottom bar down here. So in that spacer we have modifier equal to modifier dot height, which we are going to pass height of 12 dp here. Then under that we'll now use a box to add our bottom bar right here. So in that box we're going to have, let me optimize this import and clear it up a little bit. So we're going to have a modifier, and that modifier dot height, let's add another, modifier of padding. So in this padding we add 12 dp padding to the box. So because in our design here we have some padding, we have some 12 padding up and on the bottom as well. So that's why we're adding this padding to the box. So down here we call our bottom bar Burgers bottom bar, and here our selected, we're going to pass the selected destination which we have not created. So we need to create a selected destination up here, which, as you can see from the design, the product overview screen is always selected automatically, and it should be our 4-bar screen. So once you travel all the way to these screens, it's going to pop off to the product overview screen, because that's where we want the user to return, or at the end of their navigation on this home screen. Okay, so down here we're going to create that selected screen. So let's create another variable here. It's going to be a var, and we'll call that selected destination. And in that selected destination, by remember, it's going to be mutable state of, then we pass our bottom bar destinations dot product overview screen, because that's the one we want to be selected automatically each and every time. Okay, so you need the get value as well. So here we're going to pass that selected destination down here, and that is it. So then on select we're going to use we're going to pass our selected destination, and we'll assign that to, let's give this a name here, destinations, and we'll assign that to destinations, whatever destination the user have selected. So in that case, that should be okay now. So don't know why this is giving us this error. So let me cut this off and re-import that. Yeah, so I imported the wrong nav graph builder before, so everything is fine now. So we've called this and we've called all this. So let's now try and run our app and see if we can see if our bottom navigation is showing as it should. So there's no crashes. Okay, moment of truth. All right, so our navigation is showing. Oh, we didn't change the icon, but as you can see, we can still navigate. Let's correct that here. So everything here is saying home. So this is supposed to be cart, shopping cart, and this is supposed to be bell. Oh, bell. We seem to have not added this icon, bell. Let's go to our icon in our resources. There is no bell, so let's look at our design and see what we have. So here we have the bell and we have our categories here. So let's do that. So there's no bell. So what I will do is I'm going to, I think I have this somewhere. Let me go to my drawable folder and add another drawable vector assets and go to our local files and let's check our files. I think it should be in my download. So this is our notification, and we'll also be needing this. Okay, I think I have to import that singly. So add that here. So let's add these other ones because we're going to be needing them shortly. And yeah, gifts, add that up as well. And I think the other one, the love hearts as well. And let's add the love hearts. And that's all the icons that we need for this. So let's go to our resources and create all these variables so that we can access them the way we access the other one. So I'll call this bell, and this is going to be r.drawable dot, so bell outline. And if we copy that and paste it 2 more times, this is going to be gift, I guess, and we call that, I don't know, gift. Okay, so the last one is heart, so I will call that heart. Okay, so these are the icons done. Let's close this down and come back here. Bell. So we're actually missing one screen here. So categories, we're actually missing one screen here, which is supposed to be our, no, okay, yeah, everything should be fine. Let's rerun our app and see. Well, we need 4 here, and it's for 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so yeah, everything is as it should, but we still have some things to change. I don't like the colors. It's not like well highlighted, and in our design we use the brand color yellow here. So but we're using the brown one here, which is not what it should be. So let's go back to our bottom navigation and our animated tint here. What's our icon secondary here is brand brown. So let's change that to brand yellow. So will fix that, I guess. Then the menu is kind of too light for my liking. The background I will set here. So let's set this to surface dark and see if it stands out a little bit. Yeah, I think it's a little bit, it's better now. So you see we can navigate through these screens well, but this looks like a little bit too much. The padding, the top part, the vertical padding looks like a little bit too much for me. So let's reduce that to 12 and see if it looks better. Yeah, I think that's better, isn't it? So it looks a bit better now, has a nice breathing space, and we can navigate effectively. So if we notice, there are some strange activities going on with our navigation. Like you can see here, if we click here and we try to go back, our app shuts down. And if we check our lockout, it's saying something here. It says ignoring pop backstack to destination. No, this numbers, it was not found in the current backstack. So that means we have not set our navigation right down here, which requires us to call our our nav controller so that we can actually direct our application to the right backstack. So now we call nav controller and we assign that to nav controller.navigate, and inside this we call our destinations dot screen. So that's the route we want to send them to. So then the next thing we need to do is to launch. So inside this, we use a lambda here. So we call launch single top and set that to true so that it can have only one backstack at the same time, instead of, since we have like 4 destinations. so that you don't have to, like, if you are in the category screen and you click this back arrow, it shouldn't bring you back to notification, back to cart before it gets to the product overview page. Okay, that's what this is for. Then let's pop up to where do we want them to go instead of going through all that hassle. So we call our screens dot our product overview page, because that's where we want them to end up. So then we use a lambda here, then we'll call our save state to save the current state, and we'll set that to true. Then our inclusive, like we've done before, we set that to false. Okay, so now that we've done that, we want to restore the initial state of the screen. We are going back to restore state here, and we set that to true as well. So with that, now let's relaunch our app and see if anything has changed, if our app is behaving better. If we navigate here, let's click this back arrow, nothing happens. But if we click it again, you see the app shuts down again. Let's check our log card and see what it says after. So installing profile for blah 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 blah. So on back press dispatcher API. So that's not exactly working well. So but let's just navigate and go further down and do the same again. Nothing happens, and when we do that again, it closes up. So with this, there's a workaround that we're going to now use. We are not going to improve our type safe navigation with routes in order to be able to flip and swap that screen as expected. So here we're going to call our nav. We're going to create another variable actually that we're going to call current route equal to current route, and we assign that to nav controller dot current backstack entry as state, so that we can collect the state of the current backstack. Then having done that, let's change this. So now we're going to change this to val, and back down here we're going to call derived state of. So in that derived state, inside the lambda, we'll create another variable that we're going to call route, and in this route we'll assign this route to our current route that we've just created, dot value dot destinations dot route, then toString. Okay, so we need to make all this nullable. Okay, so that's fine now. So now we use a when statement, and in this when statement we say route dot contains. So we now pass our bottom bar destinations dot product overview screen dot screen. So if it contains the product overview screen, toString. Okay, so now let's close this down and close that down and make this full screen. Okay, so now we should send them to our bottom bar destinations dot product overview screen, if that's what we have on our backstack. So let's copy this and duplicate that three more times so that we can move fast. Okay, so right, so here we have our cart screen, and here we have our notification screens, and here we have our category screen, and also here we have our cart, and here we have our notification as well, and here we have our category screen. So then else we should also still send them back to our product overview screen if none of the above. So which is bottom bar destinations dot product overview screen. So with this implementation, I believe we have our destinations right. So we can now take this out now and still leave this. So now let's give our app a quick run and see how we have done, and we can optimize this. So okay, moment of truth. So now if we move here and we go back, we fall back to our product overview screen, and if we move all the way to display to the notifications, and we fall back to our product overview screen, even to the categories. Okay, so even if we are moving from here to here to here, once we click back, we go back to product overview screen. Okay, so but there will be other logics when we start populating these screens. which we are going to get to in a moment later. So this is our bottom navigation done right here. So that's it. Now we can now implement our top app bar right away. So the next thing we can do, let's optimize this. The next thing we can do is to create our top app bar to show when each of these icons are selected. It can also reflect in the title and these other icons that will lead to our drawer. Okay, so you can go now and grab a cup of water, coffee, whatever you drink, and come back. Let's continue. I'll see you next. So if we have a look at our top app bar, we see that we have an icon here, we have a center aligned title here, and we have another icon here for this home screen. So we might have some left displays like here as we go further, but we'll take care of that when we get there. So now we're going to just add this top app bar to our application, and we add it to our home screen directly. So let me make this a full screen. So now we're using scaffold, you remember. So, and in the scaffold has these parameters for both top app bar, bottom app bar, and floating action button. So depending on your use case. So, but we have implemented our bottom app bar rightly inside here. So that's still all right. So, but up here, we're going to call our top app bar. So, but first of all, if we look at our design, let's set the top app bar here, and we'll say top app bar. So, and in the body, we'll use a center aligned top app bar, and inside there we'll have our title, and in our title we are going to use some animated content so that once we are swapping, let's have a look. So once we are navigating within our bottom navigation, we can swap this using some animation, which you will see shortly. So that is why we are using that animated content here. And in that animated content, so in the animated content, we set the target state to our selected destination. Okay, so the title is going to be the selected destination. If it's product overview screen, if it's the cart, if it's the notification, it just gives us the title. Okay, so let's give this a name, which we are going to call destination. So now we're going to use a test, and in that test, the test is going to be our destination title, which we have created in our bottom app bar destination, as you can see from here. Then let's set the font family for our title to our designated font, and we set the font size. Let's set the font size to large. Font size to large. So, and large is 36, I guess. Okay, large is 30. All right. So then the next thing we need is the color of our text, which is going to be our text primary, because that top app bar has a white background. So we just set it to black throughout. All right. So after that, we have another parameter, which is our navigation icon, which we saw there before. So navigation icon, inside this lambda, we're going to use an icon button. So, and in our icon button, the on click, we're going to set our on click later. So we just set an empty lambda there. Then inside in the body of our icon button, we are going to set an icon, which is going to be penta resource. So r dot drawable, we need to import r. Okay, so drawable dot menu, that was what it's supposed to be. Okay, so that's our menu icon. So then we set our content description, we set that to the menu icon. Okay, then we set this to icon primary as well. Our tint, we set that to icon primary. So that's the icon, the navigation icon on the left, as we've seen before. So after the navigation icon, we can set some colors, and in this color we're going to use a lambda, and in this color we'll assign this to TopAppBar color or default dot center aligned TopAppBar colors. So in this center align, this doesn't require a body, so okay, so we'll close that down. Then we can set our container color for our TopAppBar. We can set that to our surface, which is white. Then we can also set our scrolled container color, and which we also want to remain white. Then the surface, so our navigation icon content color is going to be our icon primary. Then we also set up our title content color to our text primary, and we also set our action icon content color to icon primary as usual. So why is this complaining again? Okay, we need to opt in to this experimental material 3 API. So that seems to have settled the issue that we're having with our TopAppBar. So let's give it a quick run and see how that looks. All right, moment of truth. Okay, as you can see, our TopAppBar is showing properly. Then let's try to navigate. Buggers. It's not really doing what I expect it to do, to be honest. So okay, that's my bad again. I didn't change all this. I did not change it. It's my fault. So this is going to be cart, and this is going to be notifications. Oh, not notification, notifications. Okay. So this is going to be categories. All right. So now let's give it another run. We missed some of these little details, but it's repairable. Okay. So now our first screen says buggers, this says cards, and this says notifications, and this says categories. You see the animation, the way it's flipping. So that's the effect that we're looking right there. We have not included the search icon, I know. So we're going to include them later when we implement that feature. Okay, so now we have a top app bar, we have a bottom app bar. Then we have this funny color. I don't know. It's the system color, which I don't like. So we need to, let's set a color for our scaffold so that hopefully that will take care of that color there. So let's go to our home screen and set a container color here and set that to our surface so that everything will look uniform. And let's give that a run and see if it looks as it should. Okay, yeah, so everything looks, and you see our bottom navigation is standing out, so which is amazing. So the next thing we're going to implement now is our custom drawer here, so that we can, once we click here, it's going to pull out our custom drawer. Okay, so go grab a drink and come back and let's continue. So let's continue with creating our custom drawer, but before we do that, we need to start creating some items that will be required. Like as you can see, this is a component drawer item card, some of these items that we're going to have here, but I've made some modification about this. I changed this to the profile picture of the user and a welcome message underneath here instead of just putting the logo there. So let's go to our code now and start creating those components that will be required to produce this drawer here. Okay, so first of all, we'll start by creating our drawer items, which is going to be like our profile, location, and all those items. And let's add that here in our domain, and it's going to be an enum class, and we'll call this drawer item, which is going to represent each of those individual items that we'll have. So this drawer item is going to have just two parameters, which is going to be the title, and it's a string, and as well we need an icon, so, and we'll make this an int. Okay, so in the body we're going to create each of those individual items. Like we have our profile, and we're going to pass our title to the profile, and this is going to be profile. Then we'll choose an icon for our profile, which is going to be from our resources dot icon dot person, I guess so. So let's duplicate this. We have, let's have a quick look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 items there. So in that these 6 items, we're going to I thought I've copied this. No, I've not copied this. So we duplicate this 6 times. Is that 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so the next one item we have here is the locations item, and this is going to say locations, and in this we're going to use the mapping for this one. Then the next one we have is rewards, and here is going to say rewards, and this is going to be the hearts item. You know, when you get reward, your heart is merry. So the next one is offer. So we offer some discount sales and all that, all those enticing features that will make our customers keep coming back. So this is going to be a gift. So the next one we have here is going to be our contact us. Contact us. So and here is going to say contact us. That should be small, lowercase. So this is going to be edit. So if you want to contact us, so the next one is sign out. We're going to say sign out, and this is going to be the sign out icon. Then one more, we forgot to add our admin panel. So and that's going to say admin panel, and this is going to be the unlock, because this is going to determine who is an admin, and that means they have some functionalities to perform. So these are drawer item. So we need to create a card to produce this item so that we can just call it in our custom drawer straight up. So we go to our component package, we create another Kotlin file which we will call drawer item card. Okay, so let me copy that. So we say at composable and font, we paste that. Then we're going to have some parameters as well. So this is our drawer item, and also on click, because we want to make it clickable so that we can go to the individual screens that have the content of that item. Okay, so this is going to be an empty unit. Then so in the body, as you can see here, we have a horizontally placed icon and a text. So we're going to use a row to make that happen. Okay, so here we'll call a row. So let's set some row parameters, like using our modifier to make it to fill the maximum width, and also we want to clip it. We want it to have a rounded corner shape once we click on it. So size, and we want to set that to 99 because we want it to be fully rounded. Okay, so the next thing is to add our on click using the clickable modifier, and we're going to call our on click here. Okay, then let's add some vertical and horizontal padding. So in our vertical padding, we're going to make it 12.dp, and our horizontal padding, we can make that 12.dp as well. Add a uniform padding. So okay, after that, we want everything to be centrally aligned. So we've done that. So let's call our icon here, and we use painter and set our painter resource r.id.drawer. Oh no, we just call our drawer item.icon, which we have set up in our drawer item. Then let's set some content description for our screen readers and do that. So in our content description, say drawer item icon. Okay, then let's set our tint of our icon to be icon secondary, because I want it to be yellow, because we have another distinctive background there. So after our icon, we'll add some horizontal spacer. So that spacer, we use modifier to set that up. So dot width, and we set that to like 12.dp so that it doesn't look out of place. Import width. So if you look at our design briefly, you will discover that we have some padding here, 12. You see that padding 12.dp. okay, so we're still in line with our prototype. So after that, let's add our test, and our test is going to be drawer item dot title. Then we can set some color, which is text white, because of our distinctive drawer background as well. And also let's set our font size to the font size dot extra regular. Yes, so that's fine. So this is our drawer item now. So now that we've done that, the next thing we need to do is to set our custom drawer. So our custom drawer is going to also be a composable file. So let's add that to our component as well. So here we call it custom drawer. Yeah, that's a better name. Okay, so let's copy this. Okay, oh, this is supposed to be my bad. So at composable, right? So now this custom drawer is going to have some on-click methods, which is our on profile click, because we're going to implement that so that the user can update their profile. And we set that on profile click, and we set that to an empty lambda as well. So we can also duplicate this, copy this, and paste it like 4 times, because we need 4 of this. All right, so clear this out. So this is going to be on contact us click, and this is going to be on sign out click, because we're going to implement on sign out as well. Then finally we have on admin panel click. Okay, so that's the parameters we want here. Then with that said, let's add a column here to set up, because we are going to have some vertical items that are going to be displayed here. As you can see, we'll use a column to layer out all this here. Okay, so let's add that column. So in our column, we're going to, first of all, as I told you before, I added a profile picture. So first thing we'll have there is an async image. But before the column, let's add some top spacer, because we don't want you to shoot towards to the end of our page. So we're going to add a spacer here. Let's use modifier dot height. Let's set that to 50.dp. I guess that's what we added in our design, but we'll check that out once we run this, and if it's too much, then we can update that. Okay, so here we're going to have a model. So for we to do that, I want to instantiate get the instance of the current user here in our app, because we could have added a view model to our drawer, but this is, I think that would be an overkill, because it's only going to be used once. So now let's just instantiate the Firebase auth, right, dot get instance. So get instance, right? So we'll create our variable, which we'll call current user, and we set that to auth dot current user. So with this is now where we call our model. We say current user. That is going to load the URL of the user. Most Google accounts have a profile picture, so we set that like this. Then we can still use a Elvis operator to say if they don't have, we should just pass unknown here. Okay, so we can pass that like that. Then let's, in our content description, this is going to be a profile picture. Let's use modifier to determine the size of this profile picture dot size, and we can set size. It's in a single line. Let's 120 dp. 120 seems reasonable. Then also to clip that to a set shape, right, so that's ended. Also let's add some content scale, and let's set the content scale dot crop. Okay, also set a fallback. So after the async image, let's add more spacer below, so that it doesn't overlap with the image. Let's use modifier dot we'll set that to, let's set that to like EP. So now add our test. So our test is going to say welcome, then the current dot display name dot split. We use regular expression to split it. We just want to display the first name and not all the names. Okay, so we can also add to say this should be nullable dot first or null. Then if nothing, it should return just user. So it just says welcome user. Oh, I need to put that in parentheses and say user. Okay, so this is just to display the first name of the user, not just the first and last name. Then if nothing is there, it should just give us back user as the name, say welcome user. Okay, so that's our test. So let's try to style our test a little bit more to make it look impressive or interesting, so to say. So now we're going to add our font family. I need to add comma here. Then our font family is going to be our Oswald variable font. Then let's add the font size. The font size should be font size dot extra regular. I think that's the 16. Let's check. Yeah, 16 is not bad, but we'll check this out once we run our app and see if it's actually what we want. So then the font weight is going to be font weight dot medium. Then finally, let's add the color, because we know I will have a distinctive background. So this color, let's say text brand, so that it stands out. Okay, so this is our test and this is our custom drawer. So we can go to our home and give this a quick run so that we'll be able to check some of these things we've done, instead of just running it through and ending up not having a lot of things not meeting the standard that we actually want. So in our home screen, we're going to use a box to add our custom drawer. So let's add a box, and in our box we're going to have a modifier, and the modifier, then we're going to make it to fill the maximum size of the screen on display. So now we're also going to set the distinctive background I told you about, and I want to set this to brown as we've done before. Then after that, we want it to also set some, okay, that should be it. Then in the body, for now, let's add our custom drawer. Okay, so in our custom drawer, we need to implement all the members. Let me see if there are all these remaining arguments. So this is going to be, let's set a lambda here for now, because we're not implementing that yet. So then lastly, I don't know why I didn't add that, but on admin panel click, yeah, so we can actually take out this. So I think our custom drawer will display, but the scaffold, it will be under the scaffold. So for we to display that, we can So can close this down. Yeah, so let's comment. Okay, it's from here. So let's comment this out and run our app and see if our custom drawer will show, so that we style it up as we go. Yeah, as we can see, we have a profile picture and we have our welcome message here which says welcome Namani. So but as you can see, the thing is not aligned properly, which is something that we need to take care of here. So what we need to do in order for this for our drawer to display well is that let's set some system bar padding to see if it's going to align this properly. So system bar padding, and let's rerun that and see if it makes the adjustment. Yeah, so you see that, so we kind of moved it away from the bar, the top bar there. So but our drawer is still pushed to the right, which we need some padding there in order to make it to display properly. Okay, so let's go back to our drawer here and let's set some column parameters, okay, here, so that we add a modifier here, and the modifier dot fill maximum height, no, not max height, yes, then fill max width. But the max width we don't want the drawer to cover, because remember we're going to displace our product overview or home page here. So let's take like 6% of our screen for the width. Then let's add some padding because of this edge here. Let's add some general padding of like 12.dp, and after that I think that should sort it out for us. Let's give it a quick run and see how it turns out to be. Okay, so as you can see, our item is displaced right and it looks better now. Okay, so let's move on with other stuff and add up those other remaining items here. So let's close this down and continue. So now the next thing we could add is to add this other text that we have beneath, other items I mean to say. So but what if we add here a horizontal divider? I know we didn't add that on our design, but let me show you what I'm trying to do here. So under here, if we add a horizontal divider here before we now add these other elements, let's see how that looks. Horizontal divider. Do we have anything like that? I think that horizontal divider is no longer supported. Horizontal, yeah, horizontal divider, this one. So let's add the modifier and add some padding to it. So let's add modifier, sorry, dot padding. So let's add padding of let's add a start padding of 12.dp on both sides and an end padding of 12.dp. okay, then here let's add some thickness. Okay, let's make it to fill the maximum width, I guess. Then let's add some thickness here, and let's say 2.dp if that's not too much. Then the color should be our color brand, brand yellow, I guess. Okay, so let's give this a quick run and see what it looks like and see if that makes any sense. It's not entirely bad. It's not. So what if we add a top padding as well and say like 8.dp as well, because we added 8 on top of the text, and remove the start padding as well, so that it runs from one end to the other. Then maybe add a clip, and in this clip we make it rounded corner shape and set that to 99. There's something I'm trying to do here. It's crazy, but let's see what we'll get. So it's experimentation, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, this is not entirely bad, but we found out if it spreads too much from here, and see how we could correct that. Okay, doesn't look totally bad, to be honest, but let's make the width to be like 6% and see, because I think it's running off too much. 6% of the parent width. All right. I think 8 will be better. Okay, it looks like it. So let's continue, please. So after our horizontal divider, let's add something else, but I'm not feeling so well with this color of the horizontal. Let's make it color.black, but we won't test this. We'll do this later. We'll see what it looks like when we add other items. Okay, so now let's add a spacer, because let's add another spacer here. So we can just copy this spacer here, copy the post that here, and let's add like 30 dp height here. Then after that, we can now add our drawer items. So we call our drawer items. We're going to loop, not the drawer item card. We're going to loop through this drawer item. Okay, so and to do that, we say drawer item dot entries dot for each. Okay, so here, no, sorry, we need to take how many we want to take from the drawer item. So we take dot take, so we take 6 items. It's 7, but we'll take 6 and call the other one later. So here we can just give this a name and call it item, and under here then we call our drawer item card, and in our drawer item card we say we pass the drawer item to the item here, then on click, we use a lambda and say when item is true, then in drawer item dot profile, we should pass on profile click here. And when drawer item dot contact us, we pass on contact us click here like this. Then we say that when drawer item dot sign out, we pass on sign out click here like this. So then if else, we should just return lambda, an empty lambda like this. Okay, so that's how we loop through the items. So then down here, we don't need this body. So under that, let's add another spacer for our, because if you have a look here, we have some space after the sign out, we have some space down here that displays our admin panel to the bottom. Okay, so let's do that. So let's first of all add a spacer here. Okay, I think I copied the spacer before. I still have it here. So I will make this like 4 dp instead. Then outside of that drawer item, we can call the final drawer item card, which is just our drawer item, and we pass our drawer item dot admin panel like this. Then on click, we pass on admin panel click like this. Okay, so there's nobody here. Then under this one, we need to add some padding as well. We need to add some padding as well. So we use our spacer. I think I still got that spacer here. Then we use our spacer and add the 24 padding here. So if we check, we'll see that under here we have, under here I made it 12 here, but I'll make it 24 so that it moves a little bit upwards. Okay, then so let's run this quickly and see what we have done so far. Okay, so as you can see, this has changed to black, which I think is a bit better. Is it? Let me know what you think on the comment section, if this should change to the golden yellow before that it was. So our admin panel is still up here. So for we to make that go down here, let's add another spacer. Let's add another spacer down here, which is going to be spacer. So this is going to, let's change this to weight so that it will take up all the remaining space, and let's make this 1F. I think that should give us what we're looking for. Okay, so it looks like it now. You see, we have our admin panel down here and every other thing is displayed as it should. So now the next thing we need to do is to create, why this is showing now is because we commented out our scaffold. So let's create that effect that on click effect, so that once we click on our home page, it can bring us back to this place. Okay, so for us to create that effect of the open and close effect, like, let me uncomment everything here in our scaffold so that you understand what I mean, what I'm saying. Okay, so as you can see, our drawer is gone. So for us to use this button to open our drawer and close it, we need to collect and read the state of our drawer. So for we to do that, let's go back to our domain and add some drawer state there that will read the state to tell when it's open or closed. Okay, so let's call it custom drawer state. Okay, this is going to be an enum class, and in that enum class we're going to have two items, which is opened and closed. So because this is the two major states, it's either open or it's closed. So, and in that open, we're going to create a function to make that work, and in that function we'll call it custom drawer state dot is opened, right? Then this is going to be a boolean because it's either true or false. It's either it's open or it's closed. Then return, let's return this, which is the instance of our application. Then custom drawer state dot opened. Okay, so this is a function that is going to check if our drawer state is open or not. So now we have to create another function that we will call custom drawer state dot reverse, which is going to reverse whatever state it's currently in. If either it's open or closed, then once it's clicked, we can now return the reverse of the state. So now here we're going to return and use if statement and say if this is equal to custom drawer state dot opened, then return custom drawer state dot close. Okay, else if it's open and once our menu button is clicked, then return close it. Then if not that, if that means it's closed, then we should open it. Okay, so that's the two functions that we need from here. Let's close this down so that we can have some space and optimize our imports. We can also close that down. I think we're done here. Okay, we might come back to this, but we're done here and we're also done here, and our font. So now that we've created our state, it's time to create that function, that effect of opening and closing our drawer. So if we go back to our home screen here, let's create, because we're going to be displacing this by some percentage, let's create a helper function in our home screen that is going to help us get the screen width. So under here, I will create a helper function that I will call get screen width, and it's going to return a float because we're going to use a float to mark how many percent we want it to. So return, when you use Android, come on, Android.content .res resources resources, the actual resources we have. No, not context. So the resource, so resources .get system .display metrics .width pixels. So we divide that size with our Android.content .res .resource .resources .get system .display metrics .density. Okay, so with this get screen width, we can now come up here and create some variables to get our screen width. So first of all, we start with creating the variable I'll call var, and I'll call that screen width equal to remember get screen width. We call that helper function in here. Then under that, we create another variable that we'll call our drawer state, and drawer states by remember mutable state of. So we pass our custom drawer states drawer state dot closed. Okay, so now our custom drawer state dot close, if we go to this place, we have our box displaying in our home screen and our scaffold is displaying on top of it. So what we need to do is we need to add another box inside of to display our scaffold, because we're going to be seeing it on the right. So let's add another box here in order to, so that the both element, the drawer and the scaffold, are in the same parent box. So for we to add our scaffold, we add another box, another bounding box here, and in that box we're going to set some parameters. We say modifier, and we set it to fill the maximum size, and then we just, if we set that like that, then in the body here we copy our scaffold and nest that into that, so that both of them will be in the same parent box, so that our animation can work effectively. So we cut this off and we set that in here. Okay, so now the both element, the drawer and the scaffold, which will be our home graph, is in the same bounding box. Right, so the next thing we need to do now is to go to our scaffold. Okay, all right, so in our scaffold we have a top app bar, and in our top app bar we have a navigation icon. In our on click for this icon button, we can set the drawer state, which we've just created, and assign it to drawer state dot reverse, which is the function that we created earlier. So why is this complaining? We need to change this to a var for it to for we to be able to change the state. So let's give this a quick run. We have an error here. Okay, we need to import the set value. Okay, that error is gone, and let's give this a quick run and see if we can see our drawer yet when we click the menu icon. Okay, so we have some minor issues here. As you can see, our top and bottom padding has that brown color, but when we click here, nothing happens. So that means we have not yet, the on click is not working as it should. So let's find out why. So as you can see, we are not having any effects here because we need to set our screen width and the offset value to tell Compose how much to offset this top screen by when we click this button. We nested our scaffold inside a box, and because of that, that box is the parent container for our scaffold. So we need to set how much we want to displace that box to the right for this to happen. So for we to do that, I'll close this and I'll close this down. So let's set some variables that we are going to call offset value, because you can see our screen width have not been called yet because it hasn't been used. So now we say offset by remember, and we use derived state of. So we set our screen width and we divide it by 1.5%, 1.5 of the entire screen width .dp. Okay, so with this offset value, now we can now create an animated offset. So in our animated offset, we say val animated offset by animate dp as state. Then let's set the target value. We set our target value with a condition, and we say if drawer state dot is open, then offset value, else let it cover, so that else let it be 0 dp, so there's no offset at all. So now after the offset, then let's set an animated scale as well that will say how many percent we want this to offset by. So the val, we call this animated scale by remember by animate float as state. Okay, so then let's set our target value once more with that same condition to determine if the drawer state is open or not. So drawer state dot is opened, then let's offset by 0.9f, else it's offset by 1%, which means it should also fill up the box should also fill up the whole screen. So now to put this in perspective, we go to our box and add some of these parameters to our box, the parent box of the scaffold. So there we're going to add an offset. Use our modifier to add an offset, and our offset is going to be the animated offset we've just created. Then also we add a scale, and the scale is going to be the animated scale. Then with that, I guess our drawer should work now. Let's run it and see what's going on, if we are there yet. Okay, yeah, so as you can see, our application displays the way it's expected to display. It displays the home screen. Okay, so it depends on your preference and your use case. You can make this, just change some of these values here and make, like in this animated scale, we can bring that down to like 7 and see how much it displaces. So that will tell you how much is going to displace the home screen. So you just do it to whatever tickles your fancy, and everything will be fine. You see, it scales it down even further. So I think 0.9 is very okay for us. So same with the screen width. If you want to reduce this to 1, it's your choice. Whatever you chose is still fine, going to work fine depending on your use case. So if we do that, you see 1% seems to take it off entirely off the screen. So if we make it like 1.8 divided by 1.8, let's see if it's going to bring it closer than it were before. Okay, so 1.8, this is what 1.8 looks like, which is not entirely bad. As you can see our rounded animation effect that we did before. So Now, as you can see, we have a little challenge in our hand, which is these top and bottom bars colored in brown, which is not what we want. So let's fix that. To fix that bit, we need to create an animated background in order to take care of that, a variable. So let's add a variable here. So variable animated background, and in our animated background, by animate color as state. So we have animate color as state, this one. So let's set the target value. So in that target value, we use our condition again as well. So we say if drawer state dot is open, let's set the color to our brown only when it's opened. Else we should set it to the surface color which we created initially. So to make that work, we come down to our parent box, which is the first box, which contains our drawer and our scaffold here, and change this to our animated background so that it knows what to do on each of those implementations. So let's see if that has been fixed. Okay, so you see our full screen is taking the surface color and everything looks perfect. Okay, but once we open this up, it changes, and that is exactly the behavior that we expect to see here. So the next thing is to add some corner radius here so that this looks a bit mean. So let's close this down and use our animated, create another variable that we will call animated radius to create the corner radius for that. Okay, so that the radius doesn't also, because now we're using this box effect so that it doesn't reflect when it doesn't appear on the home screen when the drawer is not open. That's why we are doing this. Animated radius by animate dp as state. Okay, so let's set the target value to, we use our condition again and say if drawer state dot is opened, then we should set this to 20.dp, else let it be 0.dp. Okay, so our animated radius, we now call our animated radius in our box, the one that contains the scaffold here. So here we can add a clip, and that clip we call rounded corner shape, and we set the size to the animated radius that we've just created, and with that we should have a nicely cornered home screen. Okay, so yeah, that looks better, isn't it? It looks better and it looks fantastic. Okay, I think we've come so far that we can celebrate now, isn't it? So, but maybe we can add some shadows here and see what it will look like. So now we have a brown background. Let's add some shadows and see. So down here we can add dot shadow, and in that shadow we can add some elevation like 20.dp, and also add a shape of our shadow to be the rounded corner shape so that it will match our main screen. So let's add some ambient color, and in that ambient color let's use color dot black, and let's copy that, so that let's make that 0.6f, and also let's add some spot color as well, and it's going to be color dot black dot copy and make that 0.6f as well. So let's rerun this and see if it makes it stand out better. Okay, yeah, you can see that that's little, it's kind of subtle, but it's there. I don't know if you can see it from the screen, but it makes a whole lot of difference if you look at it closely compared to what we have before. So that is our custom drawer pretty much finished at this point. So, but before we go, let's quickly implement our sign out feature so that we can easily sign out our users from here. So for we to do that, we can do it in a couple of ways, which is to inject coin here, then call our Google Auth UI. Like if we go back to our Google Auth UI where we implemented that sign out, we can just call our Google Auth UI client, Google UI client, and .sign out, and it will sign us out. But because we are trying to maintain a clean architecture, let's create a view model, a home view model, where we are going to implement that function from our repository. So first of all, we create that class that we'll call home view model. Okay, so in our home view model, we're going to go to our repository here and implement the sign out function. We can add a suspend function here that we'll call sign out. Okay, and the sign out is going to return our request state, and we'll pass a unit here, right? So then in our repository implementation, we need to also implement that. So as you know, where is you? Right here I am, it says. So let's implement this. Okay, here. So inside here, what we're going to return a try catch block, and in the catch we can catch the exception, and that exception is going to be our request state dot error, and we just pass an error message that says error while signing out. It might be due to internet, you don't have internet. Okay, so e.message. That's what we're going to return to the user in case there is any error. But here we just call firebase.auth.sign out. Okay, and our request state is going to return success, and we pass an empty unit to that. All right, so that's it. That's our repository implementation. Let's close this down. It's taking up a lot of space. So now we have finished with that, close that down, finish with this, close this down. So in our view model, in our home view model, we're going to implement this function. Well, this home view model is going to have a private var customer repository, and it's going to inherit from the view model class. Okay, so that's it. Then down here we implement our function, which is sign out, and in our sign out we have those parameters on success. So if we successfully signed out from our application, then we can return an empty unit here, and on error it's going to be of type string and our unit. Okay, so in the body of this function, we're going to call our view model scope dot launch. We will launch that in a coroutine, and we'll create a variable. Come down here, and we'll create a variable that we're going to call result, which is going to be the result of whatever is returned, equal to with context, then dispatchers.io. Then in the body, customer, we'll call our customer repository.sign out function here. So under that, we say if our result dot is success, then let's return on success. Okay, but else if we had an error, so our results dot is error, then we should return on error, then result dot get error message like this. Okay, so now this is going to be a small case. So now what we just need to do is to go back to our drawer, custom drawer, and go back to that item that we've just created here. This is our custom drawer, and now on the on sign out click, we can just implement our sign out. Not here, not in the drawers, my bad. So we go to our home screen, to this drawer here. Yeah, this is where we can, okay, this one, we implement that here. We need to implement a navigation. So once the user is successfully signs out, where do we want them to go? So we need them to go to our auth screen, so that if they want to sign in again, they can also do that. So we add a lambda here that says navigate to auth, and this is going to be a unit in our home screen. Navigate, okay, E is missing here. So now here on our sign out click, we can call our view model, which we have not injected here. So let's do that up here. You can say our var.view model equal to coin view model, and we pass our home view model. So with that, we need to inject that in our DI as well. So our view model, let's copy this, paste it, and change this to home view model so that we can access it. Okay, so that's it. Go back to our home screen, and now we can rightfully process that and call this in a view model dot sign out and implement all the remaining members, which is on success. No, on success comes first because we want it to be successful at first. Even though that's not the case most of the time. So then on error, we can just return a toast message to tell them that something make test. And here we can initialize our context as well. So var context is equal to local, undo that, local context dot current. Okay, so now we can pass our context here and pass a message and say sign out error. Okay, then also our toast dot long then dot show. So once that is done, we'll be good to go with our sign out feature. So let's run and see if we can sign out from our application. I think our app is going to crash because we did not implement it here. This navigate to auth. So navigate to auth, we use a lambda. So just copy this and paste it here, and this is going to be home graph and navigate to HomeScreen. So this is going to be, you need to navigate to the HomeScreen the other way around and pop off our home graph once that is done. Okay, all right, so I think that error has been taken care of. All right, so our app launched successfully, and now is the moment of truth. So now we go back, we sign out, we're on our auth screen. So everything works as it should. That's it, guys. So this is the end of our episode 3. So in our episode 4, we are going to implement this user profile here. Can I just change this? Okay, I can change that here and call that profile. Yeah. So we're going to implement our profile here and implement this feature here whereby we can read the user flow and understand and the data that is already pulled up from our Google sign-in, and also give them the option to complete the remaining parts and update the remaining parts. Okay, so I hope you have subscribed if you've not, and also you're following along and practicing as you do, because that's the most important thing about this project we're building, so that if you're learning, you can build something. Then if you want to build something like this, and we're just a call away. Okay, so I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.